G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for tuning in. Now sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by a throwaway account, titled, I think my boyfriend is trying to baby trap me. I've been dating my boyfriend for a year. I live with him. My family life isn't great. My dad has been out of the picture for as long as I remember, and my mum is very mentally unstable. She's been diagnosed BPD, but isn't on treatment. She's always been a very jealous person. She showers you with love and affection, but if you don't do the same for her, she will blow up. I've seen her do that to all of her partners and to me. She has been against me doing anything other than staying home with her for as long as I remember. She's against me having friends, studying for school, working out, etc., always putting me down for anything. She has had better and worse times, and the last year has been one of her downs. She went absolutely mental when she found out I had a boyfriend. She tried to prohibit me from seeing him, made scenes whenever I spent time with him, saying that I am changing her, etc. Went as far as trashing my room when I left for a whole day. One day I came home, and she told me that I either stay with her and break up with him, or when I leave, she will change the locks and never let me come back. I called my boyfriend crying, and he offered for me to move in with him. I agreed. She sent me a picture of her burning everything that I had in my room, that she never wants to see me again, and that I'm a terrible daughter. She made posts on Facebook calling me a hua, etc. Everything's been going okay until a week ago. I came back from school and told him that we had vocational orientation and that a nurse had come to tell us about her career. I told him I thought what she did was really cool, and I would love to be a nurse. He asked me if you had to study to be a nurse, and I said that you had. It was about 3 years, I think. He then asked me when we would get married, and I laughed and said, I don't know, maybe after I finish the career. He frowned and said that he wanted to have kids young. I told him that we could, just not that young. We still had plenty of time, and I thought that it was best for the both of us to have careers before having kids. There wasn't any rush. He then said that he was running late for work, and the conversation was cut short. He has since then done something really weird, in which he starts talking semi-sarcastically about when I start studying, and asking me things like if I'm going to go to parties, or make more friends, or if I'll still have time for him. When I ask him why he's talking like that, he'll deny using any tone. He's also started to try and convince me to have sex without a condom, saying that he'll pull out. One time he even went as far as ignoring me, asking him to put a condom on and trying to go in me, and he stopped just because I screamed at him. 3 days ago, I saw him doing something with the drawer where we keep our stash of condoms open. When he saw me, he closed it quickly. I grew suspicious and went to look at them after he left. Some of them had little dots in them that had been poked. It was just 1/4 of them, so I feel like if I bring this up, he'll deny it and say some were just broken. The other day, I asked him that if he wanted to have sex without a condom, maybe I should start doing hormonal birth control, and he said those pills make you fat, and he doesn't want me being fat. He also made fun of me, saying that I'm being so dramatic about being scared of getting pregnant, like it was a curse or something. I've thought about talking it out with him and reassuring him that me wanting to go to college doesn't change anything about our relationship, and we still have plenty of time to form a family, but maybe I'm being naive. I really do love him, and I don't want to end this relationship. Up until now, he has been the biggest blessing. I don't know what else to do. I don't have access to my own money to get my own birth control without him. I live with him. I don't have anywhere else to go. In the comments, Kinky and Colo says, I realize that some of this is kind of sex-related, but what you need here is not sex advice. You need some serious help to get out of this situation, and this is absolutely not the right place for this. Make some calls, police, fire department, hospital, doctor, whatever, and get referred to a women's shelter as soon as possible. Poking holes in condoms is sexual assault. In Canada, a conviction for this has been upheld by the Supreme Court in 2014. Edit, I see you say you don't have any other place to go. Maybe a local women's shelter or something similar might help. Oh god, you're 17 and he's 23, right? Do you have any other extended family? Father, grandparents, aunts and uncles, close family friends? Anyone? You need to get away from this man ASAP. And if you stay, you have to stop having sex with him, or you will be pregnant by the end of the month. Edit, I just saw that you said you're from Argentina in another sub. Look for shelters and NGOs who help minors like yourself. OP says, my family all lives in another province like 1,200 kilometers away, and I've seen them a handful of times in my life. I only know my father's socials, but I doubt he wants to see me. He has very much spent a good portion of his life trying to get away from my mum and not have anything to do with any of us. He now also has another wife and 3 other kids. Over Remorse replies, I think it's worth it to seek help from your family. Explain that your situation is dire. Someone must take you in. I mean, you've also had to get away from your mum, so I think you can understand where he's coming from. Also, he might well have distanced himself from you because he knew that would mean that your mum would get involved. OP replies, my mum eventually gave up on trying to get him back in her life, and since then, I've seen him like 3 or 4 times when he comes to visit his friends in the city. My mum was never opposed to me seeing him, but he just didn't care much. Once when I was like 8, my mum insisted that he took me out for a couple of hours, at least, and he took me to a coin game site alone when an hour after I didn't have any money left and I couldn't find him anywhere, and I just waited for him. Eventually, 2 hours later, he showed up. He had went to say hi to some friends in a bar. And now on to the update, titled, It Isn't Normal, Is It? A couple of hours ago, I asked for help in a couple of subs for a specific situation with my boyfriend. Many people gave me advice and made me feel like I wasn't crazy, which I genuinely appreciate. But a lot of advice I was given revolved around me leaving or taking action behind his back. I started thinking, and I don't think the dynamics of our relationship are standard. It would be really hard for me to hide something from him. He takes care of everything money-related. Which makes sense because he makes the money, but it's to the extent that I don't remember him ever giving me cash, not even to buy the simplest, cheapest items. Whenever we need something, he goes and buys it, from groceries to clothes to everything else. He has made me wait in stores with the things we need for the house for him to come to where I am and pay. Even when he charges my public transport card, he asks me how many trips I need to make and charges exactly the money for them, not 1 cent more. I have access to absolutely zero money. I used to think that it was just a quirk of his, but I now feel like it's deliberate. My phone doesn't have a plan. I just use Wi-Fi and have him as my emergency contact if I'm outside the house. I don't have any friends or really any type of relationships that he also isn't friends with. All my friends are people he knew first. If I do anything without him, he insists on dropping me off and picking me up. He asks me for selfies of what I'm doing every hour of the day if we're apart. He convinced me to delete together all of our conventional social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, claiming it's better for our mental health. But then he didn't delete his because he realized he needed them for his job. He doesn't know English, and he started complaining whenever I consume any media in English, claiming that it makes him feel left out, and he wants to be able to engage in my hobbies. With people recommending me to search for narcissistic abuse and other comments, I started to rethink most of the things that I never really put much thought into or minded about. Maybe he's been controlling all along, and I just didn't oppose any of his requirements until now. I guess I'm just used to having no control. With my mum, it was the worst. At least he lets me enjoy myself. She would try to make me feel miserable every hour of the day. But at the same time, it's so much worse. Outside of empty threats, there was very little that she could do after I was 13 or 14. She is fat and old, and I have little respect or love for her. She could trash my room or scream or not feed me all she wanted, but she couldn't retain me physically. With him, outside from being way stronger than me, I love him so much. I can't even picture myself ever finding the strength to leave. It really physically pains me to write this. I feel like I'm delusional, and I want to be. I feel like such an empty shell of a human being. Thought I had control of my life for once, and I'm just in the same spot. And now, onto the second update. Hi guys, I have a smallish update. People told me to contact my father's family for help. I tried, and he smoothly told me that he does not care. I have no close friends who aren't friends with him to reach out to, and there isn't a woman's shelter in my city. I'm also very adamant about not contacting the police because my country's child laws are very strong on putting blood bonds almost over every type of abuse that is not full-blown crude sexual or physical abuse. I do not want to go back to my mum's house under any circumstances. I know there's a possibility that this isn't going to work out, and the way he was acting wasn't okay, but he's been so good to me since now. I feel like he deserves the benefit of the doubt. I spent the weekend trying to avoid having sex. I claimed I had a bruised cervix, which did happen before, so he understood and didn't push it further than just asking for oral a couple of times, which I don't mind. He did make one weird joke on Saturday when I got out of the shower, and he said something along the lines of, "If you don't let me get what's mine, I'll have to just get in myself." I guess he could see my facial expression that I didn't find it funny, and he assured me that he was just joking. I genuinely believe that it was just a joke that came off the wrong way. I managed to talk to a school friend and ask for help. Today, we skipped the first period and went to a nearby salita. I don't know how to describe it in English, but it's a very small hospital for neighborhoods. I got a birth control shot. I hoped that I would be able to get a 3-month one, but they didn't have any, so I have to go back every month to get it on the same day. I still think it's better than pills because that means I don't have to hide any item, and it was free, thanks to the girl in Argentina that sent me the link to them. Later, I started stressing about what would happen if the day of the month falls on the weekend and I don't have school to use as an excuse, but I still have many months to go, so that's a future me problem. I will try to stand my ground on him using condoms though. I know I need some type of backup plan if the situation goes south, so I applied for government aid that's supposed to be for high school students from public schools, and it's supposed to help you with money for uniforms or school supplies. It's not much, but I thought that if I created a Mercado Pago account, which is PayPal for Argentina, that I can create from my home and put my money there in investing mode, I can help it all not disappear from the inflation. I still don't know if I'm going to get accepted because it has a restriction on your parents' income, and I'm not sure how much they are making currently. If he still doesn't want me to study when I turn 18, I can apply for a program that helps you for 3 months financially for people who are suffering domestic violence. The program seems too good to be true though, so if someone in Argentina is reading this, can you tell me if it's as accessible as it seems? Today was such a shitty, weird day. When I got home from school and he got home from work, I saw him and just started crying uncontrollably. He didn't ask me anything, he just held me and told me not to worry and that everything was going to be okay and that he was going to take care of me. I don't know if he had his own theory on why I was crying or if he didn't want to bother asking, but I ended up falling asleep while hugging him. It made me feel like a hypocrite. I feel like for the last few months, for the first time in my life, I was just able to have my guard down and not walk on eggshells, so it kind of sucks being back to analyzing everything that someone says, or does, or makes me do. I woke up like 2 hours ago, and he went back to work, so now I'm writing this not knowing how to feel. And now onto the third update. If I take a computer that my boyfriend bought me, can I get into legal trouble? My boyfriend has been having a lot of violent activities, and I need to get out of the relationship. But I'm kind of tied to him because I don't work, and he supports me. I don't have any money that belongs to me, and I don't have many people in my life to ask for help. Several months ago, he bought a laptop for me to use primarily, but he uses it too. I thought about taking it and maybe selling it if I need the money. Can he sue me and put me in a legal bardo? I'm underage. I'm not so interested in the legal implications per se, but by complaining about it, he can get the police to find out where I am and then have access to me back. I'm 17 if it makes a difference. In the comments, Electrical Lettuce 281 says, "Hello. If the computer was invoiced in your name, then nothing happens. But if it was invoiced in his name and you don't have a way to verify that he gave it to you, selling someone else's property as your own is a crime and also generates civil liability. In short, yes, it can bring you legal problems. But beyond that, if you suffer violence, you have other alternatives. Go to the women's police station in your city, call 144, or even in the municipality, they can guide you." OP says, "He billed it, but I don't think he would have kept the bill in a million years. Is it different? I know that the legal thing to do would be to go to the police, but it's a small city where many people love him very much, with no wives' house, and they would probably just send me back to live with my old lady, which is the same thing. Well, before people come to judge you for the obvious bad decisions that led you to this inevitable situation, remember that nothing happens. You already realized the bardo that you're in, and you have intentions of leaving, and I congratulate you. Now, regarding the laptop, it seems to me that it's looking for a bard without any need. Not even by the police, but do you really want to give a violent guy the excuse to look for you? Go quietly." OP replies, "Yes, I already know that it's screwed up. The thing is that I really don't even have 10 pesos in my name. I want to take a bus to a city where I used to live, and I'm trying to think about the things that I can sell quickly or where I can get easy money to go." And now onto the final update, titled, "Last week I left my partner. I don't know if I should go to the police." I used this account to ask for advice a couple of times to know if my partner was being abusive or if I was just being dramatic. You guys were right. From my first post, things just went downhill. I feel like he could sense that I wanted to leave and became more hostile. From slight controlling acts, it escalated to plain violence, physically and sexually. On top of that, I found him cheating and a lot of other worrying stuff on his phone, but that alone would take me a whole post. I didn't know how to leave. I had no money or anywhere to go. At the perfect time, I remembered a very specific figure from my past that had almost left my mind between traumatic events, who had promised to help me if anything wrong happened to me. I'm sorry this is vague. I do not want to give identifiable information. She agreed to help me. So without thinking about it too long, I left him a note explaining why I was leaving without saying where to, and I left with like 2 t-shirts and my phone charger. This was last week, Monday. The person who has helped me escape has been nothing short of wonderful and the most loving human being, but that sadly hasn't made this past week any less horrifying. He tried contacting me on all platforms that we have, and I answered all of his first messages, explaining I am okay, but I don't want to go back, and blocked him afterwards, except for email just in case. He started sending messages saying that he couldn't live without me, asking me to come back. Then they fluctuated to full walls of paragraphs saying how much he hated me and how much of a horrible human being I am, and threatening physical violence. He then sent me a message with a folder with nude pictures that he had of me, saying that he would share them if I didn't agree to see him. The pictures are half pictures of myself I knew he had, but they really don't show anything that would gain me a ban on Instagram. They're just suggestive. There are a whole other bunch of pictures that I sent him on limited time, agreeing to his persistence for them, and I had specifically asked him not to screenshot. But, oh well. In these pictures, I specifically didn't show my face or any defining feature that would tell that it's me. The real issue comes with a couple of pictures that he added where I'm fully naked and you can recognize that it's me. I didn't take or consent for these pictures to be taken. He had taken them while I was asleep or distracted. I don't think he would be dumb enough to share this because I'm a minor, and doing so would F up his life way more than it would mine. But still, it scares me so much. His actions don't end here. He then proceeded to say that if I didn't answer, he would find where I was and go kill me. My mum and a school friend asked where I was because he had gone by their houses, demanding to see me and threatening them if they didn't let him in. I made the terrible mistake of telling my mum where I was and what was going on. She didn't have much of a response other than telling me that it was my fault and that I deserved it because she always told me that he was bad news. Well, turns out my ex-boyfriend's mum called mine crying and pleading with her to convince her that I return home with him because she feared for his mental health and life if I didn't. And the piece of shit I have the displeasure of calling my mum told her where I am and who I'm with. She informed me of this, and her excuse was that she knows how hard it is to be a mother, and she empathizes with her because I'm a horrible human being that keeps hurting people. Since this, he has just sent me one email saying he knows where I am and nothing else. I am incredibly terrified and haven't left the house. Who I'm staying with has encouraged me to file a lawsuit against him because then I can ask for state help, and I do have some evidence. I don't know what is the value of the evidence. I have the emails, screenshots from his phone talking to his friends about me and low-key admitting to sexually abusing me, pictures of marks he's left on me, and a video of him hitting the door that I'm hiding against, screaming, threatening to hurt me. I never till today thought of taking legal action. This whole experience has made me feel so weak. I feel if one more person starts questioning me, I will lose my sanity. I just want to move on with my life and leave everything that has to do with him behind. I am from a very small town, and people love him and his family. I feel that even if I have all the evidence in the world, the average person will still be on his side. I am an outsider with a mum known for losing her marbles. The only really weird thing that gave me a little bit of hope is that today one of the girls in his friend group contacted me and asked if I was okay and to know my side of the story. She said she had her suspicions one night when we went to hang out with his friends, and he had gotten really drunk and really mad at me. She said she had seen him throwing and pushing me around. I hadn't even realized he was doing so. She said she believed me, and she was proud of me for leaving. She has no reason for believing me over him or reaching out, and it made me feel less crazy. I don't know if legal action will bring me more safety or just more mess. I don't care about justice anymore. I just want to live. And that is the last post that OP has provided for us for 4 months. Since then, their account has gone inactive, and all I can say is, I hope that you are still alive, OP, and I hope that your absence is just because you're building a legal case against this guy and doing something, anything that you can do against this man. I can't imagine how scary it would be to be trapped in a situation like this, and I don't fault you for telling your mother, but I can see that you telling your mother was the biggest mistake you could have made here. Perhaps it's time to move on to another area that he doesn't know your whereabouts and try and find security elsewhere, as hard as that would be now. In the comments, Saki Cherry says, "This one I really wish wasn't real, but unfortunately it likely is. I hope OP is okay." As a woman from Argentina, trust me, it probably is. Femicide is a big issue here, sadly. In small towns in which Catholicism and purity culture are the norm, it makes for shit like this to happen. All the major resources for women who suffer from violence are in the big cities. Yes, small-town law enforcement is also questionable, especially if they're friends with the man's family. It makes me so mad how common this is, and you can scream about it until you're blue in the face, and it still falls on deaf ears. OP is from Argentina, but I don't know until she mentioned it, and it's sad because this story is so familiar and common that I think that it resonates with so many women all around the world. I believe it 100%, even not being from Argentina, because the pattern of abuse is so recognizable. Not only real, very common. Most end up dead by ex-boyfriend, homeless, or back to other abusive relationships, usually sprinkled with prostitution and drugs. Being a homeless woman with no family support and no diploma is dark, much worse in a third world country. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.